Hey guys, this is my completion in Dimensions and Tier 10 across both gates and the Reckoning. I was actually hurrying through the left and right gates and I forgot to actually record the runs there, but the left and right gates are only Lufenia difficulty, and so they should be pretty straightforward to complete. The goal here is for me to actually use the party of Wakka, Machina and Kam'lanaut for the Reckoning, because I tried the team out in the Dare to Defy stage and it worked, so I might as well just use them here. As a bonus, the right gate itself requires a blue crystal character, and Wakka actually fulfills that condition, which means that it's just a matter of splitting Machina and Kam'lanaut across the left and right gates, and since they are both C level 90 with their BT plus, they can easily overpower the Lufenia difficulty. The idea here is to just then complement the three of them with other characters that can at least help to fulfill the orb conditionals and support the run. So I'll just quickly cover how I did the left and right gates, and then I'll jump into the battle with the Reckoning. So starting off on the left gate, I used a party of Machina, Afmao and Bards, and the enemy here is the Rage Gators, and they aren't actually too terrifying because with that party and the turn manipulation with Afmao, the Rage Gators won't actually get any turn in at all. The Lufenia Orb conditional here does require you to battery the party, and that's where Afmao actually comes in. After you summoning her puppets, you can use her converted Brave attack to actually battery the party and easily uptick the orb on her turn, and really that's more than enough to deal with the Gators. The idea with the party of Bards, Afma and Machina is that you want to quickly go into BT plus with Bards at the start to get the aura, and BT plus with Machina, and then you link Afma to Machina, and you can just turn manipulate Machina while he does his HP burst attack. For the right gate, I had the party of Wakka, Kam'lanaut and Seymour, and this is pretty straightforward because the angels just require you to land debuffs, so Seymour can do that, and even Wakka as well as Kam'lanaut can actually inflict 2 debuffs because they can inflict 1 debuff per boss. The only tricky thing about the Asteros is that when they go into counter attack mode, they will be immune to launchers and they will counter if you break them. But that being said, I only suffered 1 counter with that party, and it did bring my Seymour to somewhat low HP, but the mission requirements doesn't actually require any sort of HP damage at all. So even if you suffer HP damage, as long as you can complete the fight, that should be good enough. Since Kam'lanaut has access to his FR, it's very easy to just quickly go into his FR mode, and then go into summon mode or BT mode to quickly mow down the bosses here under force time bonus. If you are having trouble dealing with the counter attack ability on this stage, you can also replace Seymour with a force gauge charger like Kral or something similar, and then use the force gauge charger to quickly build up your force to 100%, after which you should very easily be able to melt the bosses under Kam'lanaut's FR force gauge time. Coming to the Reckoning stage, this is the party that I used, and here you can actually replace Faris call with another call that can land 4 debuffs. Good examples here would be Caius LD call or Seymour LD call. The goal here is that, and I'll cover this more during the run itself, but the goal is that you can actually still land 7 debuffs with the call ability, with Wakka's status reels, and then with Kam'lanaut's Adel debuff, as well as the Kurasame base call, not to mention including Machina's Spiral Linchpin. All of that combined is actually 8 debuffs, so it's just a matter of trying to find a way to land the 8 debuffs on the boss at the start of the fight. With that said, I'll jump into the Reckoning fight. First off, a quick mention that if you want more detailed commentary and description on this strategy, you can check out my video on the Dare to Defy where I have a full commentary on the strategy used for this run. In this video, because I'm using the same strategy, I won't go into too much details about the approach. The key thing really only at the start is trying to land the 7 debuffs and getting rid of the turn warp effect on the boss. And for that to happen, you want to reset the stage until you get a turn order of Wakka Kam'lanaut followed by Machina. With Wakka, you want to use the call ability, and like I said earlier, call abilities that land 4 debuffs can actually work if you don't have the Faris LD call, but using Faris call makes it easier to hit the 7 debuff threshold overall, so I think she is the recommended call ability of choice. Alternatively, if you don't have her, you can try to use either the Seymour LD call, Caius LD call, and I believe Laguna LD call also lands 4 debuffs in total. But you do need call abilities where both the base and LD call will land a minimum of 4 debuffs. So at the start of the fight, use one of the call abilities to land the debuffs, and then have Wakka go immediately into status reels, and followed by Kam'lanaut's turn, where he can then either use his LD to land the Adel or go straight into his EX if you don't need the Adel debuff. With Kam'lanaut also, before taking his action, you want to use the Kurasame base call to inflict 1 additional debuff, and whether or not you use his EX or his LD on his first turn is dependent on whether the boss is at debuff 6 or debuff 7. If the boss only has 6 debuffs, it's better to use his LD. If the boss is already at 7 debuffs, then you can just end Kam'lanaut's turn using his EX. Finally, you get Machina's turn, and Machina can land the 8th and final debuff just by using his LD. Throughout setting up across the first 3 turns, the boss will get a few turns of turn warp, and ideally you'll be protected by Wakka's status reel somewhat. Even if you take some HP damage, it shouldn't hurt too much. If you did suffer too much HP damage while setting up, then you can try to soft reset and try again, but ultimately it shouldn't take too many tries to set this up appropriately. After Machina's turn, some of the debuffs on the boss should be running pretty low. For example, if you use Faris LD call or Seymour LD call, by the time Machina has completed the turn, the debuffs there would be at 1 count only, which means that you want Wakka to quickly get another turn to reapply those call debuffs. If Wakka doesn't have another turn in time, you can have Machina use the Seed Rain's base call to pull Wakka back so that Wakka can re-inflict the debuffs on the boss. With that said, once that's done and you've applied the 8 debuffs on the boss, the rest of the fight is actually pretty straightforward. The only key thing left is that you want to try to ensure that the boss has Wakka's action reels, which is the confused style debuff, right before you pop summon mode later in the fight. If it's not on that debuff, you can try to use Wakka's LD to try to change the debuff to his action reels. But if you don't get the action reels by the time you exit summon mode, you will have to soft reset, because the stun from action reels is quite key to the strategy. Beyond that, it's just charging up the force gauge by having Machina spam a few awakenings and LD during his turn, so that he can quickly charge his EX to get in some nice damage as well. Both Machina and Kam'lanaut does need to have force level 30. I do have 505 ultimate weapon on both of them as well, but obviously the one that's more important is the ultimate weapon on Machina. With that said, I hope the video has been helpful, and if you enjoyed the content, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, because it really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Shinryu fight. Bye! 研ぎ澄ます絶対レードの一撃
私にひれ伏せ。もう迷わない。終わりだ。見てろよ。決めるぜ。終わりが始まるのか。うざいんだよ。ザコは引っ込んだろ。はっ、ひざまずけ。終わりだ。見てろよ。決めるぜ。さあ行こう。全ての力を持って受諾のここで口を。シャレだ。遅い。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャレだ。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。荒い。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。荒い。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。荒い。もう倒れてくれ。終わりだ。ここで口を。シャメだ。決めるぞ。みんな力を貸してくれ。もらった。負けられないんだ。もっと強く。